somebody shooting a gun in that close proximity, knowing a police officer is around. We've also had some good luck, and again, goes back to the kind of the shocking nature of this, where our brand new crime camera at 14th and Fairmont has captured some of these incidents as well. The pictures are very good. They're nice and clear. Unfortunately, though, COVID brings everybody out with a mask on. So it does make it a little bit harder for us at times to try and identify some of these individuals. But we have several active cases working up in that area regarding gunshot issues and instances. And I'm hoping that we will continue to make some progress getting some guns out of there. We got one last month in the 1400 block of Fairmont, which is always well appreciated, but continuing to do some work up there. There was a neighborhood walk today over in Commissioner Hanrahan's area over in 1B01 involving some of our business owners. I know there's a lot of concerns about some of the activity that's taking place, specifically in the 7th and Florida area, 7th and T. You know, a lot of that issues we are working from the police department side, but we are also working with our government counterparts on some of these other issues that I would say, for lack of a better term, are probably best served by a non-police intervention. And I think that the consensus of the group, as well as the consensus of the officers that are out there, is that, you know, we want to get some of those agencies really heavily involved, and that's what we're working on doing right now. So hopefully that'll reap us some benefits and make the neighborhood a little bit, you know, a better situation for everybody out there. But with that being said, commissioners, I don't think I have anything else to present, and I will, I guess, turn it over to you all.
While we're waiting on the U.S. Attorney, Lieutenant, are there any comments you'd like to make?
Absolutely. First off, thank you guys for having me. You know, just to introduce myself, I know the commander gave a brief introduction, but I am the head of the Special Liaison Branch. Within my branch, I have the Asian, Latino, LGBT, deaf and hard of hearing, and interfaith liaison units. Interfaith being, I work with a lot of the religious organizations here in the district. And, you know, we're a community-based unit. And also I have a heavy input with hate crime situations that happen in the city. I know with the recent trend with the carjackings the commander was just talking about, we've been really pushing safety awareness to a lot of the Asian community members. I know a lot of, maybe not so much in 3D, but other districts, I've noticed that a lot of the drivers are Asian and they're coming from like Virginia or Maryland, whatever the case may be. So we've been doing our part and just trying to get the information about, you know, not leaving your car keys in the car, locking the doors, you know, that kind of thing, just to help curb it. And obviously, you know, you guys, everyone's been seeing it with the recent trend with Asian hate crimes. Fortunately for us in Washington, D.C., we haven't seen it that much. There have been several incidents, but none in the 3rd district that we are working on. And, you know, I'm happy to say with one of the cases, we were able to make 2 arrests. That's all from me. If you guys have questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you for that, Lieutenant. I do have a question. Do you think that, I guess, these incidents or crimes haven't been reported because the Asian community might not either want to report it or understand that, you know, maybe the difference between an incident and a crime?
Yeah, so the thing is, I take a lot of pride in, you know, saying that we try to connect with everybody. And so understanding, my parents are business owners too in upstate New York, and they have the same mentality. And so my goal is to break that and make sure that they are comfortable with reporting to us. So, you know, the Metropolitan Police Department and, you know, the Special Liaison Branch, we have so many officers that are bilingual in Asian languages. And I make sure to send these officers to these areas to know, hey, you know, we understand your culture. We speak your language. We know where you're coming from. And I've noticed that helps a lot. And, you know, we've been able to kind of connect much better with the community, just bridging that gap, knowing that there's police officers that mirror them.
Thank you for that. I see that the U.S. Attorney's Office has joined us, I believe.
Can we just do one more question from Commissioner Floyd? She had her little hand raised,
Sure.
and then I'm sure we could go to the U.S. Attorney. Thank you.
Thank you kindly. Commander Emmerman, at the risk of being a broken record, allow me to ask again.
Still
13
pending.
homicide August. What
Yeah.
new information do you have for us?
Since last month's brief out on that, that case is still pending. As I indicated then, there are some evidence issues that we're trying to tie up, where we're trying to be able to develop enough probable cause that our judges and our attorneys are confident that our case will be legally sufficient to proceed. But we do have a person of interest that I think we're looking at. And again, still in the process of trying to tie up those loose ends.
Thank you. You can imagine what I'll be asking next month.
I can already eagerly anticipate.
Should just hit the replay button. I do want us to spend some time with the U.S. Attorney's Office. We know that MPD can do the arrest, to apprehend, but it really passes off to either the district attorney general or to the U.S. attorney for DC to decide if the case is going to move forward, and then of course to the judiciary to decide whether or not it is a case that they're going to act on. So a lot of people don't have a full understanding of what happens after it leaves MPD. And I'm so happy that the U.S. Attorney's Office was able to join us this evening to give us a little primer on how cases get there, what different types of hate situations, and how cases are decided to move forward. With that, I'll give it to Anita.
Hi, so I'm Anita LaRue. Once again, I am at the U.S. Attorney's Office, so I am the community prosecutor for both the 3rd District and the 7th District. I also screen cases when I'm not, well, out in the community virtually, so to speak. And I work closely with both Commander Emmerman, and I'm so glad to see Lieutenant Hong, because I work closely with Lieutenant Hong also. So in answer to your question, so the hate crime piece, so just so you know, that's an enhancement. So when cases come in, the officers already tag the case if it is a bias crime. So when it comes in, we already see that it's a bias crime. Every once in a while, a case will come in that the officers have not tagged it, but that's rare. So when it comes in, we're already looking at it as a possible bias crime. The screener takes a look at it. It usually, to be honest with you, it'll go to a supervisor. We have coordinators. We have a misdemeanor hate crime coordinator. We have a felony hate crime coordinator. And a conference is usually made as to whether or not we're going to charge that case out of right at that point at papering as a hate crime. Now, if we don't charge it as a hate crime, that doesn't mean we're not going to charge it later as a hate crime, but that just means the enhancement. So that doesn't mean we're no papering the case. So we just spoke about a case that came in, Lieutenant Hong talked about a case that just an arrest that was made just over the weekend. That case was actually, we did charge the assault in that case, but my understanding is we did not charge the enhancement of the hate crime enhancement. We actually had a conversation about that case just today. They're doing some more investigation to see whether or not we can add the hate crime enhancement in that case in particular. There's just a lot of conversation there. I know you've read a lot of the Washington Post articles there, there's sometimes some hoops we need to go through as to whether or not we can make the bar as to whether or not this crime was caused because of race, gender, religion, etc. And that's kind of the questions we have to go through. So we have to go through an analysis.
So just to maybe frame this a little more, there must first be a crime.
Absolutely.
And once there's a crime, then you look at which enhancements are valid for the crime. And it may be a hate instance, but not a hate crime. If you can talk about it's got to be a crime, and then the enhancements.
Right. So that's really a good point, because sometimes there's an incident. So there were, I think, another incident, and Lieutenant Hung can help me on this. I believe it was maybe last Friday or last Thursday, which was more hate speech, but I don't believe a crime was committed. So because of that, there was no arrest. Is that correct, Lieutenant Hung?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. We had a case, and we have these all the time, where they use hate speech. It's not, technically illegal, so we can't make an arrest. But MPD, as the U.S. Attorney's Office knows, we document everything. So if you call us about the incident, we'll still document it just to ensure that we're monitoring any trends or anything like that in the area. But we always send officers to take a report for even an incident.
So we have. So we'll have report numbers for the incidents, and we'll have the report numbers for the actual crime. So that's a good point to make. So we have the crime first, and then we make a determination as whether or not we're going to charge the crime. We're going to charge the crime, the underlying crime, and the enhancement.
And on the reports, we get reports from the office on incidents. I forget, does it include instances and the crimes, or just the actual crimes themselves, what you're moving forward?
So when in the court report are you asking?
Yes. I think we get it monthly.
If we do charge the enhancement, it will say hate bias.
Okay. Are there other questions? Commissioner Harris, this is obviously very important to her, and she's worked on a sign-on letter asking for particular action from the executive and the council. So I'd like a few moments to let her speak and ask questions.
Yes, thank you. Yes, this is really close to my own kind of personal identity. So I am Asian, and these past several months have been particularly hard because, in the back of my mind, there's a constant worry about my Ong Lai and Bang Lai, which is Vietnamese for grandfather and grandmother. And when the murders in Atlanta happened, it really sparked something in me. It was a bit of a distraction, throughout that week, and it was really hard to focus, but it sparked something for me to want to do more and to engage with other commissioners to do more. So we talked and figured the next step, a small step to ask other commissioners to take, was to sign on to a letter to the mayor and council members to help support AAPI businesses in DC for Takeout Tuesday. And we did receive over 65 signatures for that. I think, though, what is really top of mind for me, and I think the community, is what do we do next? I think a big moment from this week was the hate crime or incident that happened in New York, where an Asian woman was kicked to the ground, kicked repeatedly, and there were bystanders, and the security guard ended up closing the door, which is just heart-wrenching and infuriating at the same time. So I am wondering, what can the community do to help, at least start to file these reports? Because I think it's also shows, that it is incredibly hard to find an instance of a hate crime or hate bias. So I am wondering, what can the community do to help, step in if they see something happening, obviously keeping their safety top of mind, but how do they report this? What are resources that they can turn to, call attention to these things happening? Because I think a lot more things are happening than are reported.
I think
No,
we
that's
go
it.
to the lieutenant for that, and then we come to Anita?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And the thing is, I understand. And so like that's why we are in the community all the time. I've been using a lot of media. I don't know if you guys have been seeing, but I've been, you name it, I've been on every news network just to make sure to reach the community, let them know that we are available, and like I said again, that people that mirror them, understand their culture and can speak their language, we can help them. And so, we do daily checks. I mean, we're doing like 20 businesses a day in DC, but as you guys know, the whole District of Columbia has so many places, we're trying to hit them all. But we're constantly spreading the information on a daily basis. It's cliche to say, but we tell everybody, if you see something, say something, even though how little or minor it is. MPD is great about going out for everything, and so we'll make sure to document any type of suspicious activity. Of course, with any hate bias incident, and we just don't want to know the information. So as far as the community, it's just reporting the crimes to us and understanding the Asian Liaison Unit is here, and we'll do anything we can to help the community.
And I actually was going to have the same answer. I think the Asian Liaison Unit is doing a great job just getting out, just every group they meet with and every shop owner they meet with. It's almost like meeting with 2 or 3, because they're going to tell someone else, and they're going to get together in their own small groups, and that helps. And in our office, we found, in a lot of communities, we found, the if there are upsides of the pandemic, in a lot of our meetings, when we go online, we have more people coming to the meetings. But that may not be necessarily the case in the Asian community. And many times in the, in the older Asian community, they're not necessarily logging on to the computer. So it's really more kind of an old fashioned way of saying, kind of a belly to belly kind of getting out there, getting on the street and meeting people. And what Lieutenant's group is doing is actually, I think, the way to do it. And getting folks comfortable speaking to his unit, speaking to the officers, I think helps getting them comfortable with reporting these incidents.
And I just want to note, like, just like Anita's saying, we go to these places. We just did a big outreach event at Wallach House with the senior citizens. Like my parents and my grandparents, they're not going to log into Zoom. They're not going to log into. I understand that, and I know there's zero chance of that. And so we got to be in person. And so being the police, whether COVID or not, we're going to be out there, and we have been. And I really pride myself on building a lot of these relationships that we already established with the community. And like Anita was saying again, is that, it's kind of like word of mouth. And we have great partnerships with big Asian organizations that help us give the information out about all the resources we can offer. I also work very, very heavily with the Mayor's Office of Asian and Pacific Islander Affairs. Me and Director Ben de Guzman and I are going on so many ventures together. And I work a lot with Reverend Bowen from the Mayor's Office of Religious Affairs. And so it's like a big collaboration that we always do. And, we're just constantly out there just conducting outreach and just trying to engage with the community, letting them know what resources that they have.
I think that's really important, is forming those connections. But I am wondering too, for community members outside of the Asian community, what do they do? I know you said if you see something, say something, but I think it's a different, people are unsure of, do they reach out directly to you? Do they call 911? How do they report that they saw something?
And so just because, the unit's name's Asian Liaison, I want everyone to know, and I do this anyways with any community, because I work heavily with so many other communities, is that call us for everything. I am the special liaison branch, right? And meaning liaison is that I can give you resources regardless of whatever ethnicity you may be or whatever community you belong to. And so, I know I work heavily with all these other districts, and I'm the point person for a lot of community members in general. And, I make myself available to every community member in the district.
it's important to report into a central resource because we need to see those statistics when we're looking across the city at things that are happening. And if it doesn't get into the system, it doesn't get into the statistics, which means we don't allocate more resources maybe, or there's
Sure.
not a particular focus. So it's always good that it must get in the system.
I completely agree. Ms. Harris, when you were talking about calling 911, I completely agree. And that goes for all community members, whichever community you belong to. If you see a crime being committed, you're a witness. The officers always tell us, don't get involved, don't try to insert yourself, but always call 911 immediately.
And if I could piggyback on all that, although, Lieutenant Hong is our commanding officer of our special liaison branch, district officers also have what we call an affiliate program, and we do train some of our officers in some of those cultural sensitivities, some of those awarenesses that his unit specializes in. So, and any given day, there's somebody who's likely an affiliate in one of these units working in the 3rd district who will also be able to assist and also be able to start that referral back to Lieutenant Hong's team for additional follow-up. So it's not just like it's if you don't get Lieutenant Hong, you've got nothing. It's we can still come out, we can still help, we can still get the ball rolling, get things started. But as we always say, the most important thing is the community's the eyes and ears of us. So when they see something and they know something, to let us know so we can figure it out. Yeah, maybe it is just what we refer to as a hate bias incident, where it's offensive language or some sort of reprehensible conduct of an individual, but may not necessarily be a crime. Let us come out, let us start figuring that out. And that's when we get all the ball rolling and get everybody involved.
Is there, to kind of piggyback off of that, is there a certain, threshold, because again, a lot of these incidents go unreported, but if people do start reporting, is there any special attention to, that business or that location, because they have seen, they have experienced a influx of the hate bias? Like what, I worry that, this is always a worry of, it takes for someone to get actually harmed or hurt for there to be like a crime charge. But is there any like proactive precautions that can be taken, to at least keep this in mind or to help the community understand that, there's a pattern occurring and, we're watching for this?
That's an excellent question. And so that's why I was saying it's so important for you to report everything, because we got to get on top of the trend before anything starts. But to give you an example, a little while ago in 1D, last year, late last year, we had a hate bias incident in 1D, and it was, just offensive language. But, I immediately notified the 1st district, and, they supplied resources for special attention. We were visiting on a daily basis. And so once it's flagged and we know that there's a problem or something happened in a certain place, we're obviously going to give it massive attention. Just, we would never want something like Georgia to ever happen here, obviously. And so, we always give special attention, especially if anyone's even just a reporting person in a hate bias incident.
And I think the other important thing too is even when things aren't going on, Lieutenant Hong's team is out in the community doing outreach. It's not like, hey, nothing's going on, let's all sit in the office and eat bonbons today. They're actually out and about, doing these interactions, trying to build those positive relationships with the community, to talk about things like security cameras, things, better business, operating, tactics, things to make you less of a victim, but also things to keep your eyes and ears open in the community to report back to us. We want to know when things are going great. We also want to know when things are going bad. So it's certainly, I think, the outreach part. And I think that's where Lieutenant Hong's team is, I think, probably your bread and butter, is not necessarily the criminal angles of it. It's the actual avoiding crime stuff and doing that outreach before those things happen.
And can I just say, I don't know if I might have missed it. Lieutenant, did you get a chance to explain all the areas that your unit covers?
Yeah, we cover the whole city. We're a citywide unit. And so we're not like, a lot of people get the misconception that like, hey, these guys just concentrate Chinatown, and that's not untrue. We are going to every district on a daily basis. So obviously we have our hands full, but we're working with every community in the district.
But did you describe each community and who you have
Oh, yeah, I did. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank
And I
you,
also put a
everyone.
link in the chat. And yeah, Commissioner Thomas, please ask your question.
Good evening, everybody. Um, uh, let's say 2 days ago, I met with, because I go to the nail shop, on U Street, and speaking with, the owner there, I found out that he had no to any resources, who to call, what was available to, what he was eligible for in terms of, being a business on U Street and getting assistance, things of that nature. And so I was able to, shout out a couple of emails. I think I also CC Anthony on it as well. But I got a response back from a young lady with the the Office of the Mayor's Asian Affairs Unit. And so I was able to connect him with her, with the business. So piece of I found valuable information is that when you contact that office, they'll come out and speak with the owner, because they have the language barriers and so forth, but work with them through who to call if there's something dealing with the law, dealing with their businesses, what's available to them. Also, there was a big question about whether or not they were eligible for vaccine, although they live in Virginia, but they have a business here in DC. And so what was explained to me was that if he's an elder, that yes, he can get vaccinated here regardless of whether or not he lives in Virginia or not. So I found that to be helpful. And so for anyone else who, has Asian Americans or Asians in your community, then that's a good number and a good contact. And I can pass it on after the meeting or what have you. And then that way everybody will have it, along with Lieutenant David Home, because I found your number and contact information on the site as well.
So, and well, that's
Thank you,
great.
Commissioner.
That's a great segue. I just want to mention too, we've been, the Special Liaison Branch has been helping the elderly community, especially like the, historically underserved community get the vaccination. We've helped so many Asian business owners get the vaccination. So please put people in contact with me directly, and we can definitely help set that up as well.
Okay, we're right at time, almost. One of the comments or one of the big things was if you see something, report something.
Yeah.
So we've all been looking at everyone on the monitor. What color hat is Danny Delaney wearing?
Mm. Could you
Can
Blue.
you identify a
repeat
person?
that?
What color cap is Danny Delaney wearing?
I can't get my
His
video to
his
start.
video's turned off. So if you didn't observe earlier, you haven't noticed.
Oh,
And if you're going to say something, you need to be able to explain in some detail. Just saying, I like Commander, a middle-aged, overweight white male. Did you laugh at that one? So now we see Danny is wearing a cap, and it is.
Blue, is it? Or is it gray?
It looks gray to me.
Gray.
But
It's
but
unfortunately
if
a Red
you are
Sox hat.
going to
That's okay.
report something, realize you've got to have some detail and some specificity. And I chose clothing there, but clothing can be thrown in a trash can and changed. So it needs to be something that's physically on the person, a scar, a tattoo, many different things. So do remember those things. And we've talked about a particular segment that's experiencing hate at the moment. In the past, we've talked about LGBTQ plus. There's a lot of hate going around. Anyone could be a victim of an instance of hate. It can be just the way you look. It can be you're male, you're female, you're of a particular race, ethnicity, religious background. MPD experiences hate just because of their profession right now a lot of times. And that is really unacceptable in our community, but it should hopefully start some conversations to reconcile.
Yeah.
It seems that when we get to our lowest point, it's a way that we pull ourselves out, and I hope that we can do that.
Yeah, I think too, being in our different SMDs, if you have a business owner who happen to be Asian, then providing them with resources. If it's no more than 1 or 2 phone numbers, again, maybe Lieutenant Hong, and along with Sarah Park is the woman's name from the Mayor's Office of Asian and Pacific Islanders Affairs. And so, walking around, I think checking on them to see if they're okay or something of that nature while you're out and about in your SMD, I think will be helpful.
Commissioner, that should apply to all our business and all our residents.
Yes.
Whatever may be. So we're going to close out the info session. Thank you so much, MPD and U.S. Attorney, for joining us this evening. It's been a very useful discussion, and we look forward to talking more in the future of improvements. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Let's now begin our official session. I'll call the meeting to order. Mr. Secretary, if you'll call the roll.
I'm finding the unmute button there. Apologies. Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? All right. Let's start from the top. Commissioner Handerhan.
Present.
Commissioner Lasky.
Present.
Commissioner Luther.
Present.
Commissioner Thomas.
Present.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Present.
Commissioner Floyd.
Here.
Commissioner Ewert.
Here.
Commissioner Bena.
Present.
Commissioner Turner.
Present.
Commissioner Delaney. Present. Commissioner Hudson.
Present.
And Commissioner Harris.
Present.
That's a quorum of 12 of 12.
Excellent. Thank you. Commissioners, you have an agenda before you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye, or raise your hand.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstentions. Thank you. We have a consent agenda that includes the, excuse me, the March draft minutes and the 2Q21 financial report. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Raise your hands for aye. All those opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. We'll move to the advocate and task force reports. We'll start with the Ward 1 ANC Joint Committee on Education. Commissioner Sanchez.
Sure. So just to provide a few quick updates about the types of different things that they've been doing. So it is obviously budget season, so they've been very invested in figuring out the various ramifications of that. One of the things that has come out is a petition that they're putting together in that I think it's 51% of DC public schools have proposed staffing cuts to meet the budget shortfalls this year. So they very strongly oppose having to make any staffing cuts this year, despite the challenging fiscal climate. They have a number of resolutions that they have been working through as well. So they did send one off on language access and resources for families. They filed a non-compliance filing with not offering enough language accessibility options. So that is going forward. They're doing a resolution on mental health services in public schools. That should be forthcoming at the April meeting. So I'll be sure to share that with people. I know that they would like to get widespread city support for that across the other ANCs. So I will plug you guys in. I think that's kind of the main things that they have had on their agendas, you know, with budget season, working with a lot of partners and coalition building, having people come through. We had Councilwoman Nadeau's legislative assistant come in the last time and brief us on her priorities as well. So if there are things that we can elevate through the education committee, if there are people here that have interest in that, please reach out to me. I'm happy to plug you into all of that.
Thank you. Any questions on education? Short-term family housing, Commissioner Floyd.
Thank you. First, let me remind everyone that the property is now called the Terrell, and that's all part of the naming, and we have now finished Women's History Month, but it's worth remembering it's part of Mary Terrell. There are actually two parts to the property. It's the short-term family housing, which is 35 units, and then we have the permanent supportive housing, which is 15 units, and that is primarily senior citizens or disabled, and it will all be for women. Many of us had the opportunity of the in-person tour, and I have to say I'm delighted that we have in-person things going on again. It makes my heart happy. I was also very proud to be a resident of the District of Columbia and to see the facility that we now have for those who are experiencing the homeless state. The building is sleek and cool, and those of you who are in it share in that joy. For example, very practical. There's no carpet anywhere, so you have none of those worries. The staff seems very attentive. Plans are to first occupancy in the middle of this month, and that would be on the short-term family housing side. The permanent housing residents will be following much later. And it's not like there's going to be a mob of people moving in. It's going to be a gradual sort of thing. It's kind of neat that right now, because we don't have evictions, there isn't a huge demand for the family housing, but there is a long line for the permanent supportive housing. One issue that may be of interest to you and your neighbors, and one that's not yet determined, is the smoking. The policy is no smoking, of course, on district property, but where do these fine folks go to smoke? And going to the condo across the street or wherever has not yet been resolved as to how this will work. And so that's just one issue we need to keep our eyes and ears open. Commissioner Harris has some suggestions regarding welcoming, and she's going to talk about that later in this meeting. I will say that we are very proud of that facility, and my hat's off to the predecessors and the ANC that made sure that we became the location for this. This is the final of the 8 to be put in. It's the 5th anniversary of the kickoff project from the mayor's office, and the fact it's done, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Yes, it's certainly something we're very proud of. Commissioner Hanrahan, I believe it's the only one that's family style units.
There's actually several unique things about our facility. That is part of it. The children's area is much larger than in some of the other facilities, and that's because we are the last one to get built out, and they were able to take advantage of their learning base from the other facilities. There were 7 new buildings, and then the 8th one is a building that was rehabbed. One of the buildings does have a medical clinic as part of the structure, not related to it, but it's immediately there. This building does not have a medical clinic. It does not have a nursing station. But when I asked the question, where do you go to get a Band-Aid? The answer was the security guards or the staff would have those basic medical supplies. And yes, there will be an AED there as well. So our facility is a little more unique, and we can be proud of that too. It's great to be a showcase.
Thank you. Public safety and community engagement.
Hey everyone, so I think that we had a great update from Commander Emmerman and the Lieutenant. I think we do have a few questions from the community that came up, but I have made sure we will connect specifically on those issues during this meeting right now. I know the commander is sending out an email and after. So if you have any further questions, please make sure put it in the Q&A and we will make sure to follow up. But then as you heard from the commander, we've been having specific walks in certain areas of the community. We also had a great engagement with Commissioner Umar up at Garfield Terrace this week. And then of course, from Commissioner Floyd, having the walkthrough of the Terrell. So I think there's just some great momentum in getting out in person, but doing it safely in 1B. And then hoping the community engagement aspect, we can continue that. I know I've been doing a lot of work with the Ward 1 Mutual Aid group, and a lot of commissioners here have also shown support by showing up. So just continue to look out for announcements on where we will be and when we will be, because we're always looking for more people. If you're thinking, well, how do we know? You can subscribe to our weekly newsletter. We have, that goes out every day on Tuesday mornings. So if you just go to anc1b.org right now, you'll see the area where you can subscribe. And we will have commissioner authors who come in every month. So you'll never be bored if you're subscribed. So thank you.
And I believe you want authorization for new swag.
Yes, that actually was, thank you. For masks to distribute to every commissioner, because I know we ran out of our last supply. And I think that the hand sanitizers, I'm not sure if, I think I was distributing those in 2020. So before a lot of the commissioners who are on right now came, if folks are supportive of that, that would probably be about $250 to $300 of investment to get enough hand sanitizers to then distribute those to businesses and the community again. So if we're able to make a motion to approve that, that would be great.
Commissioner Delaney, would you like to make a motion to spend up to $1,000?
I move that we spend up to $1,000 on goods for the Public Safety and Community Engagement Committee.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Oh.
Second.
You were asking a question, Commissioner Floyd.
No, I was providing the second, sorry.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on that? We do have a new brand, so we do have to have new cards and information cards and materials. So it's important that we get those created and revise them throughout the years. We learn more stuff.
I do have a quick question, actually.
Commissioner?
Yeah, so regarding the information flyers, the kind of small 3x5 handout that currently exist, in their current form, on the back of them, they say it's like a 3-step process to be a part of your community. I can't remember the exact language, but step 1 is to call 911. I don't know if that content is continuing on with the new updated flyers, but I personally disagree.
I think we should change it.
Yes, I think we should change that.
No, thank you for bringing up that. Yeah, okay. We'll do a full approval process before we go to print, as you say. But thank you for that input, because I think that's important. But I do think we have a whole new thing of engaging the community during this COVID times as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
I had a quick question on that too. Were the hand sanitizers and those things, I know they were branded 1B, but did they have the website, contact number?
They just had the site and the Twitter. We could definitely do our email maybe. But I think the best kind of way of distribution was doing it paired with something else. So we'd be able to do the hand sanitizer and the little flyer.
Got it.
Okay, thank you for that update. ZPD, Mr. Nelson.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we have one case that you need to review and take a vote on for a property located at 2228 13th Street in Northwest, in an RA2 zone located in 1B04, which is Deborah Thomas's SMD. And they are going in front of HPRB. So they came before the committee for us to review their concept and design of a proposed rear addition and front alterations to convert the residence into 2 units. The ZPD committee is recommending that the ANC support the proposed rear addition and that the front alterations, retain the single main entry level for both units at that premise.
Commissioner Thomas, this is in your SMD. Do you have comments?
Okay, yes, it is. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the application based on the zoning preservation and development committee's recommendations.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion? Discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? It passes. Thank you. Mr. Nelson?
Just for clarification point, so it's on the record, we're not approving anything. We're just making a motion to support to HBRB, the project.
Right.
So the next ZPD meeting will be on Monday, April 19th at 6:30 p.m.
Okay.
That concludes my report.
Economic development, is anyone from Main Street on?
I do not believe we have Teresa or Gigi tonight, but Gigi did send me a quick update. And she really just wanted to, again, reach out about the neighborhood strategic council. I know that a few folks in the community who have engaged with our committees, specifically in 1B, have reached out. So please continue to do that, either to myself at the 1b@anc.dc.gov email, or to Gigi directly, and she'd be happy to connect you. I will also post her updates to our site, just in case folks would like to dive in further on that. But I do want to applaud the Main Streets. I think they're doing great works on distributing grants to a wide array of businesses, keeping diversity in mind. But then also the Shaw Main Streets really ramping up their communication in the last few months. So thanks to everyone who's been doing that. And that's all from the Main Streets.
For those commissioners that are on the U Street corridor or on the Lower Georgia Avenue corridor, do encourage people from your areas, neighborhoods to get involved with the Main Streets. A quick update on a couple RFPs. The Reed Center is still being reviewed by DMPED. They have to do a backgrounds and certifications of the financials of all the people who have bid. And we have 2 bids that are viable. And I do think that sends a message with the number of restrictions that have now been placed on city properties for redevelopment. They're not as attractive as they once were. So we're seeing that fewer people are bidding on some of the city properties. I think we'll see the same thing happen with DC Housing Finance Authority. They have a RFI-like proposal out to develop an RFP. That is a building that we traditionally met in when we were meeting in person. That's on 9th Street. It does have a parking facility. It has it has complications in its ownership structure, but because it is not a formal core DC administrative executive department, it's an independent agency. They will be running the RFP outside of the DMPED process. And we will only be involved if they ask for any zoning changes, anything other than matter of right, which I can almost guarantee you is not going to be matter of right. It's going to be something above. And we will be getting together as soon as we have the results on the Reeves Center to get the community together to discuss the results of those 2 bids. And the comparison. Any questions? Commissioner Harris?
I didn't have any questions, but I did see that Patrick Smith from DIMPED noted that there is a public disposition hearing on April 20th at 6:30 p.m. And he shared the link. So I think that will be in the chat.
We've already done the initial one, the initial resolution. It typically is just a repeat of what we've already done. There's the surplusing and the disposition. Sometimes they're done together, sometimes they're done separately. This one was done separately. Transportation.
Really quick before we move to transportation, sorry, I just had a quick economic development related thing. So I just want folks to know that our neighboring ANC 1A just north of us has been working on a resolution related to Councilmember Nadeau's street vending bill. And I intend to introduce a corresponding resolution here in 1B. So that'll most likely be on the next meeting a month from now, but I just wanted to announce that. And then, if any members of the community listening want to get in touch with me and learn more about it, we'll make that resolution widely available to all of the fellow commissioners as well.
One thing that should probably be done is to work with the community engagement and have it as a public discussion. Transportation.
All right. So at the last transportation committee meeting, we had Howard University come and speak in regards to the transportation aspect of their new campus master plan. Since the ZPD committee had kind of already taken the reins on that, the transportation committee will not be providing a specific recommendation or anything like that. However, we're really happy with the work that Patrick and the ZPD committee were able to do in the lead up to this, and I think the transportation aspect of what's going on with Howard's campus plan will support the neighborhood in a good way. We also received a notice of intent from the Department of Transportation. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to share my screen so folks can see this. I don't have the ability to share a screen.
It was in the packet, I believe.
You can go ahead and you can go ahead.
Okay, sweet. Thank you. All right. So on the screen, you're seeing an image of the intersection of Florida Avenue and 7th Street Northwest in Commissioner Hanrahan's single member district. The DDOT is sent a notice of intent to remove these parking spaces at the northern corner of the intersection to prevent backups for people who are turning right. And this is primarily to assist with bus traffic, making sure that it's not getting held up by people making right turns and not slowing down service for people who need to use the bus. And this is particularly important because the next block forward is Georgia Avenue and is the beginning of the bus only lane. So making sure that the buses are getting through 7th Street and staying on schedule is super important. I am, as Transportation Committee Chair, supportive of this, supportive of DDOT to remove these parking spaces. However, do have some concern with the fact that there's a bike lane that just kind of disappears at this intersection. And so as part of the recommendation to support this, we are also recommending that they include bollards and a right turn only / bike lane so that bicyclists can safely navigate through the intersection and onto the bike lane on Georgia Avenue. Commissioner Hanrahan, could you give a brief update on whether or not you've heard back from some of the businesses on the street?
Sure. I reached out to Shaw Main Street, and I don't know if anyone's on the line from that organization, and they agree that parking is definitely a really valuable commodity in the neighborhood, but given the problems that they've heard consistently with that intersection around flow, they would be supportive of this proposal. So I think we're all on the same page when it comes to the recommendation.
That's good to hear. So Commissioner, would you like to make a motion to one way or another on the recommendation for DDOT?
Sure. I would make a motion that we accept the proposal from DDOT to remove the parking on 7th.
So for to approve and send the letter
Correct.
with any technical corrections as may be required.
Yep.
That is my motion.
Is there a second? I see a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Excuse me? I
Aye.
have a question about the motion now that it's been approved. Does that motion include retaining the bicycle lanes or provisions to make it safe for bicyclists there? I'm not sure that was in the motion.
Yes, that'll be part of the recommendation to make sure that there are some elements included to ensure safety for bicyclists who use that street.
Thank you.
Is that in the letter?
That's in the letter, correct?
So, Ms. Commissioners, you should read the letters in the packet in advance. We have a motion before us. All those in favor, aye. Let's do it again.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It passes. Thank you.
All right. And the last thing for the Transportation Committee is that our next meeting will be on April 14th.
Next, can I just interject a quick thought before we move on? I just
wouldn't
want to
try and
say
stop
that
you. Go ahead.
this is the first time that that has been ongoing for a long time. And it's good to see that we're getting some positive stuff out of them versus just what they think is important to shove down our throat, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree. I'm hopeful that this is a trend that you froze up for a little bit, but I'm assuming that you were saying that DDOT is giving us some positive things that they were working on. And I'm hopeful that that trend continues, and we're going to work to try and make sure as many traffic interventions that occur in the neighborhood are helping people who are most vulnerable. That's my goal, at least.
Thank you. ABR.
Okay, the ABR committee met in March, and we discussed a number of things, but the two main points that are listed on this main agenda, High Market, which is a business in 1B07, Commissioner Eward's district. There had been a lot of discussion on that on previous meetings, and there's been a positive resolution, and the commissioner is working with that business to obtain the proper permits that they are seeking to expand their business model so that they'll be in full compliance with ABRA and that they can do that if they choose. And then the other main takeaway from that meeting, we did hear from a representative from Ben's Next Door, which is an establishment on U Street that is going to be one of the first establishments in the city to apply for the new sports wagering endorsement for a bar restaurant establishment. The representative from Ben Next Door talked a lot just about their plans, and so we heard about it, and it's kind of a tandem process between ABRA and the Office of the Lottery, so it's still in process, but that was the main thing that was discussed. That is really all I have. I will say that the ABR committee, we would love, or we could use one or two additional members. We have a lot of folks that are U Street centric, and we want to make sure that we're representative of the whole 1B. So if anyone out in the community is interested in participating as a committee member, please reach out to me. Oh, and then I just saw, Max, you have an update on High Market?
Yes, just really quickly, I have confirmation of submittal of permit application for the outdoor seating. So it is not just a word of mouth promise from the owner. They have submitted the application and they're in the process of getting the permit to have the outdoor seating and not just at a temporary basis.
Fantastic.
And
Thanks so much.
that's a change to their license type as well, I believe.
Yeah, so the first I've been in contact with Sarah, and first step is going to be to get the permit so that they can have the outdoor seating, so that the seats that currently exist are actually legal. And then the next step is going to be to receive the alcohol, the different license, so that they eventually can serve alcohol out there as well.
Great to see a positive resolution to that, and thanks, Max, again for being really diligent working with the business owner. That's all I have. Our next meeting is April 21st. We already have on that agenda a representative of a business of a establishment that is potentially coming to or that has been placarded at 14th and U Street. So that will be on the agenda. And we look forward to having people on Wednesday, the 21st.
Thank you. We have a couple of administrative items. I'm going to change it around a little bit. We have the secretary position open, as well as the treasurer position.
Can I interrupt just real quickly? Eric, you said that you needed you could use an extra or someone on the committee. If you can send me the link, I can sit in on the meeting if you like. And this
we would love to have you, Deborah, whenever you want to come to join. We just need community members too, because we are a commissioner heavy committee and we are a U Street heavy committee. So we would love some Georgia Avenue folks, some more folks up where I live, Lower Columbia Heights area. So that is my call for committee members.
Okay, so let me just see if I can recruit somebody from those two areas.
Fantastic.
Help me out with that.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, we have two vacancies, the secretary and the treasurer, which we need to fill tonight. We are unable to operate as a ANC without a treasurer, so it's important that we fill these two positions. So commissioners, we elect from amongst the commissioners. Is there a nomination for secretary? Is there a nomination for secretary?
Yes, I would like to nominate Sable Harris for the position of secretary.
Commissioner Harris, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Are there other nominations? Max? Oh, I thought you'd raised your hand. Since there are no other nominations, congratulations, Commissioner Harris, in your new role.
Thank you.
Is there a nomination for treasurer?
Yes, I nominate Commissioner Victoria Sanchez for treasurer.
Commissioner Sanchez, do you accept the nomination?
You betcha.
Are there other nominations for treasurer? It's probably one of the easiest officer positions. It's just very much an attention to detail.
Second easiest.
So since there are no other nominees, congratulations, and look forward to working with you. We will need to complete a whole new security fund update, as well as the bank stone tablet and all the items that go to the auditor and to Gottlieb. So that'll be something we work on fairly quickly. I've asked Commissioner Delaney to do a very important job, and that is to continue to build out our data dashboard. One that I think can be a model for other ANCs, and one where we start to look at how we are performing in the community, how we as a government are performing in the community in servicing our 311 requests and other things. And I could see this actually developing into materials that we use to look at development, what type of developments we need based on what the data is showing, so we can make more informed decisions and recommendations. And I think this is very important, and this frees up some time for him to work on this important initiative. We'll now talk a little bit about the new convoluted process for special elections. As you can imagine, the council got involved and made a complex process even more complex and convoluted. To fill a vacancy, you must get 25 signatures now instead of the 10. And they must be real signatures, even if they're electronic, which is by definition not what electronic signatures are really. But it is someone who signs it and gives it back to you in some way. And those are 25. I always suggest getting 40 or more, because they typically get challenged and some get thrown out because they can't be contacted. The process to then fill the vacancy, if there's more than one candidate, is to have an in-person election during a period at an ANC meeting. So while we may still be meeting virtually, Gottlieb will have a table set up somewhere that people have to go by during our meeting and vote. And only members from that SMD can vote. I'm not sure quite how well this is going to work, but we will see. That is the process that we're going to have. And the reason we're talking about vacancies is we're going to have very shortly in the next few days a vacancy on the ANC. A very important and key and instrumental person in shaping our ANC is moving on to a different ward to wreak havoc there. So Commissioner Hudson.
Do you want me to speak now?
Rob speaks.
Yeah, so yeah, my husband and I are moving to Ward 4. We're going to Petworth. Pandemic time has just kind of taught us that 800 square feet is not enough for us to both work from home full time and have a dog. So we're hoping to move next week and or the week after, and that's it. I've had a great time on the ANC. James, you've been a wonderful ally and confidant on a lot of our projects, if not all of the projects that we've worked on. I've had a wonderful time doing just about everything. There's been some things that have been more exciting to do than others, and some that I would rather have not done. But I think that we did a very good job. I think the ANC as a whole has done a very good job in moving into a place where things are more automated and more process oriented, where we don't have to have 4-hour-long meetings, which is, my first ANC meeting, I think, was 4.5 hours because nothing was done ahead of time. And we just didn't have the great organization that we've worked really hard to put in place now. So we were very lucky because the hard work of James and all the other people that came before you where we are right now is a very good place to be. And a huge, huge bank account. So there's plenty of stuff that you can do. I do think the next year is going to prove very challenging for a lot of us as we get back to normal, where it's going to be interesting the ways that our usual jobs with liquor licenses and things like and large events are going to be pushed to their limits as people are going to try to, really celebrate, and rightfully so. So I think your job will need to get out ahead of that in the way. But I've really enjoyed my time on the ANC. I really think it's been the best community service that I've done. And I mean that. It's not really a political job. It's very hard to use this as a stepping stone to get any higher or anything like that. So coming in with an idea of just helping out your neighbors is the best way to do it. So I wish you all well and good luck.
Thank you for your service, friendship, and we will miss you. We've had some very good people on the ANC. We've accomplished a lot and with our current commissioners, and I have faith that we'll continue to progress and grow and show what can be done with an ANC.
James, could I say something really quick?
If you must.
Rob, I just want to thank you so much. I think people know this, but a lot of the work of the ANC happens behind the scenes. And you've been a great mentor to a lot of us who are new in this space and always willing to take a call and provide some advice. And I think the institutional knowledge of the existing members have been so helpful for us newbies who are just trying to learn how all these things work. So that's been true of James and the whole team. I just want to give you a special thanks for your role in onboarding us and providing that continuity with a lot of new blood and helping us be successful.
I think the first committee I ever attended was Rob's Economic Development Committee, and I definitely learned a lot about how to deal with people from Rob and how to do this job from him. So he's going to be missed.
Yeah, I feel like an old person on this committee now. I feel like I'm 2 years in, and it feels like a lot longer than that. But Rob was really the first person that stepped in to introduce me to the ANC and how it worked when I got here almost 2.5 years ago. I don't think Rob did a good enough job about bragging about all the stuff that he has done. So I will do a little bit of it for him. But one of the reasons that I got into the ANC was because I care a lot about public buildings and public development. And the reason that Rob originally joined the ANC was because he cared about all of the big development projects that were going up in Shaw. And he watched as development corporations came in and didn't have a lot of respect for the community, weren't engaging with the community, and decided to do something about it. This commission has really stepped up its game in the development community, requiring that people come to the ANC to present their plans, requiring that people come to the ANC with proposals for large development projects that include minority-owned businesses and female-owned businesses. Again, Rob does a lot of this behind the scenes, but I think the inertia of change that he has, I think, carried really on his back for the last 2.5 years, I think has made this commission a big force in public development, at least in Ward 1. So, Rob, I really appreciate that you did that for the community, and that has become a core tenet of what we stand for. I think it's really good for us, and we'll carry forward for a long time.
Well, I'll say, as a non-commissioner who has been on this commission for a long time and has known Rob since he started, we've had our moments where we've disagreed on things, but we have actually worked together on a lot of projects that, as Danny said, really benefited the community. So I too although I'm still here, we'll miss him and his work with the community.
Thanks, Patrick.
Okay, let's
Rob, I've only known you for a short period of time, but I appreciate you welcoming me aboard when I came aboard. And it appears that you're one of the backbones of ANC 1B. And for that, on behalf of us, I want to say thank you, wish you well, and you will be missed.
Thanks, Deborah. I'm gonna miss all of y'all too. Thanks.
well, he's not going to miss me much. He gave me his new address.
And we'll be giving it out to everybody here who once had a qualm with him, so don't worry.
The next agenda, I've lost my place now. Announcements. Commissioner Orlowski, could you run this section?
Sure. Let me just pull up the agenda. Just put it away for a second.
I think we got
Sorry about that.
we got Office of the Mayor up next.
Okay. Then Anthony Moore, are you on?
Yes. Good evening, commissioners.
Go ahead.
I hope everyone doing well. We don't have a lot of updates. Just want to keep pushing coronavirus, dc.gov. We had a lot of neighbors that's qualified to get vaccinated. I like the second, Commissioner Delaney. I had my second vaccination this week, and it kind of put me down for like 2 days and a half. Knocked me right off my feet. Gave me headaches, tired a lot. Just a lot of stuff that you just can't describe, that you offset, that you don't know that's coming after your 12 hours after your your second vaccination. I would like to say that I look forward to doing some more engagement and walking with some of you commissioners as the weather change. Hopefully we can walk some of your SMDs and see and point out some of the issues that you guys have been hearing from your neighbors, or some of the things that you guys have seen yourself, so we can get those things quickly resolved. I'll also like to thank Commissioner Larry Handerhan for the core team walk that we had 2 months ago, and a follow-up walk we had with Shaw Main Streets today. That was very, very insightful. I think a lot of businesses got their voices heard. A lot of community members were heard with some of the uptick in crime and public safety issues that MPD is looking into. Some DDOT related issues, and some DBH related issues that should be getting resolved, and hopefully we can get those neighbors some services real quick and expedient. Also with
thanks for all your help, Anthony. Really appreciate it.
Also with Commissioner Thomas, Commissioner Banner, and Commissioner Harris with some of the issues that's going on in the 14th Street corridor, especially Clifton Terrace Street, engaging some of the young men and men that kind of hang out on the corner of 14th and Clifton Street. Just starting that dialogue is very helpful moving forward. Commissioner Harris, thank you for a lot of your input on some of the issues on the lower 14th Street, dealing with encampments. And good to see you at the Terrell House, short-term family living, to welcome the new neighbors and see the wonderful facility that's going to welcome some of the families that's going to benefit from that wonderful structure. Also, the Commissioner Umar with Garfield Terrace, with the dialogue we had with DC Housing Authority and Director Tyrone Garrett. I think that's going to be helpful moving forward for the Garfield Terrace residents. I just look forward to, catapulting off into a new year, hopefully getting past the COVID restrictions and hopefully welcoming everyone out and about, hopefully before 2022. And we can see a lot of results that our hard work will pay off with a lot of engagement with the neighbors and helping them get along in this rough times during COVID. So I don't have a lot. Please push the vaccination for a lot of the neighbors in Washington, D.C. so we all can quickly get past this almost 2-year pandemic. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Hi, Mr. Moore. We did have one question that a community member asked regarding street sweeping. Has there been any updates on when that'll resume?
No, I haven't had a date to give you guys for street sweeping, but if you give me that block that the neighbor has concern of, hopefully I can get some manpower out. We kind of can address it with DPW without the big machine that we usually use to put, have cars on one side of the street and then have the machine go down and clean and sweep from the machinery aspect. But hopefully we can get some manpower from DPW.
I think it was just a general question about when the program will resume. But if I hear anything else, I'll pass it on.
I definitely will circle back with you if I hear anything from DPW.
Okay, thanks.
And I think I just wanted to comment on that point.
I also had a quick question for you. Do you know where we are with the trash can for Clifton Street? Have you been able to contact?
Commissioner Thomas, I will circle back with you tomorrow regarding that. I should have an update for you from my DPW liaison tomorrow.
All right, thanks.
So I was going to say, in reference to what Anthony was talking about with the street cleaners, because I addressed that with him myself directly, and kudos to him for the quick response to sending somebody out. And literally the day after I talked to him, they came out with the whole crew and cleaned my street. I was pretty impressed with the fact that they responded very quickly to that, because it really, really needed it. And it was a welcome improvement to the tons of garbage and leaves that had piled up because they hadn't gotten able to pick them up prior to the leaf pickup. So thanks, Anthony.
Yes, ditto on that. Thank you so much, Anthony, for all your help on that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anthony,
do you have any other
how to get
questions?
done. Just
Sorry.
praise for Anthony. Continue that.
Did anybody else have any questions for Anthony? No, I'm not seeing anything from the attendees, so we will move on to the office of Councilmember Nadeau, Mr. Oscar Montiel. Is he with us?
Yes, I don't see Oscar on the attendees. If anyone does see him, let me know. But he was at the walk today. I spoke with him pretty, at length, as we always do. And he just wanted me to pass on that Commissioner Nadeau has been, one, continuing to push for funds for support for our neighbors experiencing homelessness, specifically talking about hotel opportunities, converting that during this public health emergency. And she did send a letter to the mayor asking for the federal stimulus funds to be placed towards that initiative as well. Either that be the hotel or just support for further neighbors experiencing homelessness in general. And so that was one thing that I wanted to share. And then two, just continuing as Mr. Moore has shared the outreach on getting pre-registered. So anyone in the city can be pre-register right now, but then making sure that our senior neighbors and everyone like that understand the invitation system. So once you pre-register, you'll get invited to book your appointment, and then you show up for your appointment. So I think that's something us as the ANC can also do, and hopefully from the Community Engagement Committee will lead the way on that, getting some new cards, new information out there.
Okay. All right, I think the next part of the agenda is commissioner announcements. I'll get the ball rolling on that one. I have an announcement. PEPCO is still working on their capital grid project. We'll be moving into the 1B12 and 1B02 areas. I believe it's going to be along S Street. Or it might be T. I might have got those mixed up, but there will be a public meeting. T Street, yes, thank you. There will be a public meeting held on April the 8th at 6:30, Zoom meeting, virtual, to discuss the project. More information about that, how to access that call, will be put on our website once we know what it is. And if anyone else wants to contact either me at 1b02@anc.dc.gov or Commissioner Harris at 1b12@anc.dc.gov, you can get more information from us directly. Do we have any other announcements from commissioners?
Yes, I have one announcement. Oh,
Commissioner Harris, sorry. Go ahead. There's two. So
sorry, I didn't raise my hand. We are planning a kind of welcome to the neighborhood drive or kind of welcome basket creation event to help welcome the new residents at the Terrell. So we're planning on doing that sometime next weekend. We're considering both days, but we'll send out more information in the coming days for that and the items that you can drop off, or if you want to help with something else, we're open to that too.
thank you, Commissioner Harris. Commissioner Ewert.
Yeah, two quick announcements. First one was something I forgot for the Transportation Committee regarding slow streets. So DDOT is currently has an active survey. I'm posting the link in the chat now for all panelists and attendees. This is a survey for people's opinions on slow streets, whether or not they felt that they were effective, how they could be implemented differently. And this is also something that we are going to be discussing at the next Transportation Committee meeting on the 14th. So if you're interested in this or have some strong opinions about it, please come. Really happy to hear what you have to say. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is just like to get out ahead of this before it becomes a habit, Mary Church Terrell House. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do we have anyone else?
I do see a question that I just want to address before we get off anything, but on the trash cans, I don't know if Anthony, if you're still on, but I think that this is with 311 as well. So there's just a question in the Q&A for all attendees. Notice that the bottom of some metal frames hold trash. The bottom frame is rusted or missing. So in the space beneath the can, it fills with trash. And I know I noticed those dog poopy bags. So I think that is something when you take a picture and send it to 311 for either trash collection or just general cleanup, you can specify that bottom part. And I'm not sure if something new needs to happen for replacing the bottom part. Sorry, Commissioner Van Nuys.
There's a specific 311 for repair or replacement of a public, I believe they call it public litter can repair / replacement is the name of the
there you go
thing. So you can go there.
So if you're, you can use the app, as I'm sure you can select the drop down, that's where you're finding it, or you can always tweet at them and just make sure that's known, the repair or replacement part. Thanks to Mitch for putting that in, but I think I will definitely use that as well. Okay, back to you, Vice Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Thomas, did you have an announcement? Your hand is up in the, or was that just like an accident? You have your hand up in the display.
That's been up for a little while.
Okay. So I think that'll conclude our commissioner announcements for the evening. We'll move on to community announcements. If there's anyone who wants to be recognized, please raise your hand and we will elevate you so that you can make your announcement.
Great. I have Josephine up from the Common Good City Farm. So Josephine, thanks for being here.
Great. Thanks so much for having me. Hi, everyone. This is Josephine from Common Good City Farm. Just wanted to make a few quick announcements. The first one being that we'll be starting our weekly farm market on Wednesday, April 14th from 3:30 to 6:30. We'll be right outside Common Good City Farm facing the Park Illedroit. And so we'll have produce from our farm as well as additional produce and meat and dairy from other regional farms. And we'll be implementing it as a pay what you can model just to provide more flexibility for people and to make sure people, as many people as possible can access the food. If you have questions about the farm market, feel free to ping me. And then the other announcement is that we are also, we'll also have a CSA, Community Support Agriculture, where you can sign up on our website for weekly shares of produce from June to October. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Appreciate you joining us tonight. Do we have anyone else from the community that would like to make an announcement?
Don't see anybody from the attendees, but please raise your little hand or put in the Q&A. But yes, thank you again to Josephine. And I do see just a comment from a community member, Kendrick. Kendrick, I personally know I have your email and I'll make sure to connect you with Josephine and Common Good. I think that'd be a great connection to make. Okay.
All right, well, that's it for the community announcements. I think that will bring our meeting to a close. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and we will see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioner Hudson.